of even the winter time. So we're using the existing heat in our apartments and building out hydroponic systems that basically let us grow some of our own food. And the way that it works, hydroponics is a fundamentally different way of growing food or growing plants. So usually a plant has to grow these like extensive root systems to go get new water and nutrients out in the soil. Whereas in hydroponics, you're basically kind of like bottle feeding the plant's roots with liquid soil. So the plant's roots are actually just sitting in these net cups with these little clay pellets that hold some of the liquid soil in place while the pump is turned off, so that the pump can just be turned on part of the time and then it gets turned off again by a timer. And in order to pump the liquid nutrients through the circuit, through these liquid circuits essentially, we're using an air pump that's on a timer, and it's acting as a water pump, and it basically sends one bubble at a time into each one of these reservoirs. And a bubble comes in to the line and is fed into the bottom of this rigid tube. And so each air bubble carries a little column of the water, the liquid nutrients, on top of it, and carries it up to the top. And then it kind of acts as like a vacuum that's pulling up another little batch of water after it. So, and then that liquid nutrient it trickles through all of the plant's root systems and is recaptured at the bottom and can be reused for about 7 days before it needs to be switched out.
So tell me about the citizen science crowdsource organizations project.
Yeah, so basically it's kind of like open source software where we do version releases. So the first system that we built in my apartment was like super janky and was a whole bunch of like leaky buckets, and but it kind of worked, and it grew like I was growing 25 vegetable plants and getting about like a salad a week out of a window that looked in on basically like an air shaft or like, you know, in between a whole bunch of buildings, and was just supplementing it with CFL bulbs. And then I published those designs online and then opened it up on basically a social network, and everybody has been kind of contributing ideas and tweaks and stuff like that, and then everything that seems to really help out the whole community and really fits in with a certain number of criteria. Like we're trying to get as many parts to be things that you can find in your recycling bin or your local hardware store or something like that. Anything that fits those criteria we fold into the next version release. And so we've been able to iterate through now 3 full versions, and this is working essentially towards our 4th version. And so our carbon footprint keeps dropping. We keep getting cool new aspects of the project added onto it, and so we call this process R&DIY, or research and develop it yourself. And we have 17,000 people around the world in like Hong Kong, Helsinki, like Israel, all of whom, it's like every one of those populations has their own